Welcome to Join the City True Stories Edition. I'm Bethany Marshall, and you are about to see what God is doing in our city. Coming up, we'll talk to a few leaders from the Teen Center and Shelter in Altoona, address a tough question, and also hear from a student about his experience with God.
Well, Blair County has a large number of disconnected youth, and we're looking at the youth between 16 and 24 who have dropped out of school and who don't have jobs and they don't feel like they have a future. We want to capture these kids before they get to that point.
Really cultivating a sense of belonging here, that maybe that lacks in the school. And
kind of felt alone at times and angry a lot.
All that and more coming up now on Join the City True Stories.
God is on the move, hallelujah. God is on the move in many mighty ways. God is on the move, hallelujah. God is on the move today.
All right, first of all, tell me who you are and what's your role here.
My name's Lisa Han. I'm the Executive Director of Family Services, and my role here as, instigator of this new teen center.
And how long has this process been getting this here?
When we originally purchased the building, that was 4 years ago. It took us a good 2.5 years to get it up and running. Some changes had to take place in the building.
And why did you feel that this was a necessity to put the effort towards doing this?
Well, I came on board with Family Services a little over 5 years ago. And when I first came in, I talked to all the program staff. And the program staff at the existing teen center said, when I asked what their wish list was, they said we need to have a location that's more visible, that the kids see and they'll come into. So I started looking.
And the fact that you're right by the high school, you're very visible, main road, that must have been a godsend. You really couldn't ask for anything better.
Well, I can tell you a story. I looked at a lot of empty buildings in Altoona, and I was looking for something that would be visible and where kids would walk by every day. And after seeing a lot of places that I knew weren't going to pan out, I was on my way to church one Sunday morning, and I looked over and I saw a for sale sign outside this building. And it's one of those, really, God, but what the heck, I called a realtor that I knew, and she got me in to look around, and I heard the price tag, and my heart sank because I knew we couldn't afford that much money. And about a week or so later, I get a call from the realtor saying, hey, the Bigelows want to talk to you. They were the current owners. And came in, met with them, and turns out that they had adopted 2 children. And when those children were teenagers, they needed some counseling, and guess where they came for counseling? Family Services. So, God aligned that one for sure.
Talk a little bit about what is Family Services, the background of what this is. Talk a little bit about
Sure. Family Services is a private nonprofit 501c3, and we've been in existence. This will be our 90th year. And we started out as an adoption agency. The Blair County Trust back in 1928 said that there was a need for adoption services in Blair County. There were a lot of railroad workers. There were a lot of injuries, a lot of deaths, and women being left with children that they couldn't support. So the agency started with adoption, and then over the last 90 years, they've morphed into whatever the needs were of the community. At one point, they did a lot of counseling. We don't do so much counseling now. But we do provide the homeless shelter and victim services for domestic violence, any victims of any crime, really. We provide services for folks with intellectual disabilities. We run group homes. We have a day program for folks. And then, of course, the Teen Center and Shelter. Teen Center and Shelter came into existence in the 80s. And I believe that this is their 4th base. They kept getting moved. And this is their last home, I think.
So, talk to me about what happens here. What is this place? What occurs in this facility?
This is a place where any youth aged 12 through 17 can come and just feel safe. They can come here pretty much any time of the day or night if they're having issues. If they're not having issues, they can just come before and after school and hang out and have a good time. They can come on weekends. We have activities that are planned by the staff here. We put out a calendar every month. We have taco night, we have pizza night, things to draw the kids in. So that's just to get the kids feeling safe here and feeling like there's adults that care about them and want to talk to them about their concerns. So that if they do have a concern, or they have a friend who has a concern later on, and that friend needs a place to stay or a place to come, they can come here. If they need a place to stay, we can provide shelter for up to 21 days. We do, after a period of time, have to call the parents and let them know they're here. I think our reporting time is within 48 hours. We call way before that. Usually we have the kid call and talk with the parents about what's going on. Once a child or youth has stayed here, we offer them counseling if they need that. We can offer the family counseling, and even after they've moved on, we can continue to provide counseling free of charge to the family.
If they do stay here, is there people that are here all the time, leadership? How does that happen if you have kids that need to stay here?
Even when there's kids not staying here, this place is staffed 24/7, 365.
Okay.
We have a hotline, so there's never a time where a kid couldn't get in here if they needed that. And then if they're in need of counseling, we have a master's level counselor who can come over. We have a lot of staff associated with this building that don't spend their days here, but we can bring them in as needed. We bring staff in to do trainings on relationship building, on bullying, and a variety of topics.
And how many kids typically come here after school?
I think our average right now is about 39 kids a week. And,
Wow.
Maybe some nights it's 5 kids, 6 kids, 10 kids. It just depends on what's going on. And a number that I was impressed with last week, you know how cold it was. It was like -2. We still had 39 kids come last week on nights that we didn't even have anything planned. So I don't know about you, but when I went home at the end of the day, I wasn't coming outside of my house to do anything, but they were coming over here to hang out.
Whenever you, begin the process of a teen center, did you get any brushback from neighbors in the community of like, we don't want?
I got one nasty letter that I kept from a gentleman in Hollidaysburg who said, you're going to ruin the building and those kids are going to rip it apart and you have no respect for history, yada, yada, yada. And so I kept that just as a reminder. I had a lot of questions, but the people in this community were very positive. The lady that lives right behind here said, I'll feel safer when that building's being used. And I'll feel safer when I know you guys are the ones that are using it. And we'd rather have the kids come in here than hang out in the Sheets parking lot. And we got welcomed by the library because they said they had a lot of kids who were coming in not wanting to do library things. Well, you can come over here, and they were causing problems. So come over here and do non-library things. You play video games, you shoot hoops on the back porch. There's things to do.
Well, the gentleman who said they were concerned about the building, I gotta say, this is beautiful. This is a wonderful facility. You've taken care of it. The kids must be respectful of it. So his concern, I guess,
Yeah, it didn't occur.
Yeah.
And anyone who wants to stop by, we welcome that. Private individuals, like I said, we're staffed 24/7. We would prefer if you want to stop by, come by when the kids are in school so that the staff have time to spend with you because otherwise they're busy.
So when they come here, I looked at your Facebook page and I saw a variety of snack things, taco night and that kind of stuff, pizza, and I think I know Jeff has posted a variety of things as well. How is that? How do you know how many to provide for? How do you know how many kids you're going to have?
Well, sometimes it's just luck of the draw. We make it, and if they show up that night, that's what they get. If we make a little too much, it stays till the next day. You just have to guess. Like I said, we average about 5-6 kids a night, maybe more. And if we're planning for a bigger event, we'll plan for more kids. We had 30 kids here, 36 kids for our Halloween party. So we knew we'd be making more food that night.
And when the kids are here, do your staff just around just to mentor them, guide them? What occurs when they're here for after school? When they're here, what do these kids do?
It depends on the kids. If there's a planned activity, the staff is running the planned activity. We are using interns. So right now we have 4 new interns coming in from Penn State and other schools, and so they'll provide the supervision, the direction for whatever's going on. But also they're there just to sit and listen to them and talk to them about what's going on in their life. We don't let kids wander off through the building by themselves. We make sure we have staff here who are within eyeshot of what's going on, even if they're playing games or just watching TV.
What's your desire to occur in these kids? These kids that are coming to a safe place, coming to an environment where they're cared for. What's your goal, your dream for their life in that atmosphere? Obviously, they probably don't have the best home life or something, but so what's your ideal situation?
Well, Blair County has a large number of disconnected youth, and we're looking at the youth between 16 and 24 who have dropped out of school and who don't have jobs and they don't feel like they have a future. We want to capture these kids before they get to that point so that they feel like, number one, they have a safe place to go, that they have people who care about what they care about and care about their lives, and who have the time to sit and listen. And if you build those relationships with kids, they feel more connected to their community. Then we can direct them to positive community activities and influences that are outside of here. Some of the church-related organizations, some of the after-school programs. If you don't feel connected to your community, you're not going to get engaged in those things. So we're sort of, greasing the wheel to get those kids connected and then move them on into other things. So hopefully they won't be those disconnected youth when they hit 24.
Sure. And if you had a few kids that needed a place to stay, how many people could you actually house here?
We can house 9 kids. We
Okay.
have 8 beds upstairs, and we have 1 handicap bed downstairs. So if a child comes in, even if they just have, they're on crutches, broken leg, whatever, we can accommodate them here. So we could handle 9 at a time.
And they stay for how long?
They can stay for up to 21 days if they're just an average kid off the street. We do take kids referred by Children and Youth and JPO in situations where maybe Children and Youth is moving a kid from one group home to the next, or JPO says, we just need a safe place for this kid to be for a while. The kid might be doing okay and maybe the family's not doing so hot. We don't take kids who have histories of violent behavior outside of the family setting. It's one thing to get aggressive with your parents, but if you're doing it out on the street, that's a different
Sure.
thing.
And what about situation with addiction? How do you guys handle a kid that's battling addiction? Is this a place that they can come, or is this?
We'll take a kid in if we think we can help them. We can help get them connected to counseling services and addiction services. They have to be willing to do that.
Sure.
They're not just going to come in here and use.
Sure. If, say, someone's watching this and they have a family member or even a teenager themselves seeing this online or something, and they're just a hurting kid. Home life is dysfunctional. What's something that you would say to them that to pique their interest to come by here to check this out?
Well, first I'd say if you're worried about what goes on here, give a call and talk to the staff. I always encourage you to call and talk and just see what they tell you and what's going on that evening and what it's like. Just give it a chance. My guess is that if you come in for an activity, you might see a kid that you know already. And trust that when you do come in here and talk to the folks here, we're not putting that out there. It's your private conversation.
Sure.
And we feed you.
Hey.
Yeah.
Food
talks.
There you go. What's your dream next 3 to 5 years? What would you like to see happen here?
I'd like to see the kids that we have now continue to come and bring their friends. I'd like our average attendance here to be up over the 50s a week. I'd like to see the beds full because they're needed to be full, not because people just want to hang out. We haven't had any kids come for that reason. But I want them to be used. I want the kids to know that they're welcome here.
And how is this place supported? Funding? How do you get the money to run this?
How do we keep the lights on?
Yeah.
We have a grant that's a federal grant. It's called the Runaway and Homeless Youth Grant. And we get that. We have to apply every 3 years. So we are finishing up our 3rd year of this grant, and we've applied for next year. So if funded, we'll get another 3 years grant. We also, that only pays really for the staffing and a little bit of the overhead. So the rest is made up with grants. We get some United Way dollars. We get a small community grant, and then we fill the rest with donations. So when you see us out there on a street corner somewhere or doing an activity, we get the donations. We bring it here. The community's been wonderful. When I came forward and said we need help from the community to even get this place up and running, we had so much help. And even since the doors have been opened, clubs, church organizations, the women's club, they make sure that we have what we need, food, clothing, bedding, So all donations are greatly appreciated.
Good. I remember when you guys were starting this, the thermometer outside watching the funds was, it just, for me, it's like, okay, I see they're moving forward.
Yeah, our thermometer sort of fell apart before we reached our goal, but weather wasn't kind to us. But when I put the thermometer up there, we thought we were going to need $200,000. Well, with any good project, there was always something new every day, and we ended up it cost us $250,000, and we were able to meet that goal.
If somebody would want to help out and support, what are some things that people can do to come alongside, partner with you in a sense?
If you have a craft or a skill or a hobby that you would like to share with the kids, contact us, because we're trying to have more opportunities available for the kids here, especially things that kids don't know how to do these days. We've got someone from Bloom Yoga that comes in a couple times a month and does yoga with us. We have someone who's come in and done painting classes with us. We all see those paint and sip for the adults. Well, ours was Kool-Aid, but it was cool. The kids enjoyed that. So if you have a gift that you've been given that you can bring to us, we'd love to have you share that. Periodically, we need help. If we do have a party going on or something, we need some extra hands on deck. We'll call our volunteers and ask, can you come in for a couple hours? Or if you're just looking to spend some time with kids, the best time is after school, weekends. We'll put you through a training. We'll make sure that you have your clearances.
We trust you're enjoying today's True Story program. Join the City is paid for by generous gifts from viewers such as yourself. If you enjoy seeing stories from people and organizations that are impacting our community, please consider a tax-deductible contribution to Transformation Church, indicating Join the City in the memo. We greatly appreciate your donations, which allow us to continue developing new stories of how God is moving in our city.
There are several men and women who help in one way or another at the shelter. We talked to Jeff, one of the staff, about what he does at the teen center.
A little bit of everything. I'm here about 40 hours a week, and just with the teenagers that come in, the teenagers that are here as residents as well as non-residents, just hanging out, cooking food, tutoring, counseling. Job kind of looks a little bit of everything.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what have you found, anything unexpected that you have experienced while you've been here as a leader?
Yes and no. I'm a youth leader at the Refuge Youth Network during the week, and we see the same teenagers that come through, these at-risk teens. So there's a myriad of situations that these kids are in. Whether it's just split homes, or severe bullying in school, or mental health issues, kind of all over the map with the kids that come in.
And what are some things that you do to help those issues?
I think the biggest part that we do, provided it's kind of direct but indirect, is just really cultivating a sense of belonging here. That maybe that lacks in the school, and they don't get the full emotional support, as you would one-on-one here in school or in the home. And we provide support as well for the families. We're very family oriented. We're working with the parents, we're working with the kids to join them and be that support for them.
When a kid comes here and you spend time with them, you guys have a variety of activities. What are some of the activities that seem to be the things that kids really enjoy?
We have a lot of calendar events that we do. Food is a big draw, as well as for just like it is for the adults. But kids, you cook a meal and kids are coming in. But a lot of when we do group activities too during the week, there's more of that one-on-one emotional connection, where we see kids opening up, and it could be even over. We do craft nights here. It could be over just we're playing basketball on the porch, and the kids start to open up about their family life, or what they're dealing with in school every day. So really, we're big on relationships, and a kid is going to respond more to someone that they have a relationship rather with if they don't.
We often confront tough questions on this program, so today we simply asked Jeff to address some stereotypes with the generation he works with. Someone who works with kids on a regular basis. You see these kids day in and day out. How do you respond to some of the negative stereotypes that adults have that are disconnected from these kids? They just have a negative perception of teenagers today. How do you, what can you say that might be able to change that stereotype?
There's a lot of negative stereotypes on this generation as well as my generation. I'm kind of like in the in-between. I'm in that millennial stage. And so the stereotypes for them is also for me as well. And there is, you see a sense of entitlement, maybe complacency or laziness. So, I find my job day to day is just kind of combating that, but also seeing the hope and feeling those or combating those negative stereotypes with hope, and seeing the creativity in the teams, or bringing out the goodness instead of seeing the negatives, because we're always focused on the negatives. We have kids that come in every day, and depending on what kind of relationship that we have with the kids, if they're regulars, maybe it's typically the first thing out of their mouth is, hey, we're being bullied again, we're being picked on, or this person said this person said that. So long as that is a day-to-day thing, and it's just constant needing to support them, and really it's just listening to them. Kids need a place to vent. Kids just need someone to listen to them. So that, that's a day-to-day thing. And it's not an overnight resolve, but it's that constant day-to-day support, that just saying, hey, we're here for you. We're here to listen. We're here to help resolve these matters by working with the school, by working with the teachers and the counselors that were there at the junior high or the high school.
Jeff mentioned he helps with Refuge Youth Network, which is a youth ministry very much connected to the same cause as the Teen Center and Shelter. One of the students from Refuge shares his journey with God.
The way I went through school every day, it was just getting methodical. I would do my stuff every day. I was doing it just to get out of it. Wasn't really doing anything after school, so I had nothing really to do. I was just by myself a lot. Kind of felt alone at times and angry a lot. The thing that really motivated me to change was just I was getting tired of doing the same thing all the time, and I wanted something different in my life, but I knew that the church that I was at wasn't really giving me that difference. It was like the same thing every week, and it was very methodical, and that's what I thought being a Christian meant, was repetition and the same thing all the time. So I didn't really feel like I was getting much out of anything, and that was really what motivated me to try and take a step out and find what Christianity meant to me. I think it was like 2011 maybe. Refuge took a trip to Myrtle Beach, and I didn't really go to Refuge before that, and my brother invited me to go with him to a Bible study, and we saw the poster and we begged our parents to let us go, and so they did. And whenever we were there, it just felt like something different was happening, and something inside me just changed, and I felt like that this was where I needed to be with my faith right then. Since that experience had changed, I've felt like I have something different to look forward to. My faith isn't as programmed, it's not as in a schedule as it used to be, because like it used to be Sundays you go to church, Sunday nights you go to church, and Wednesdays you go to church, and it was the same thing every single Sunday. But now I go to church same days, but it's different every time. We do worship at a different time, and the messages really change a lot, so it's not I'm hearing the same thing over and over again. The next 5 years, I really feel that God is pushing me to pursue music and worship ministry and to touch people that way, because whenever I've been leading worship and up there, I feel like every time I can connect with someone and bring them closer to God, and I feel like that's what He's been telling me to do for these past 3 years, and that's what I'm gonna try and go to college for the next 2 years. I'd encourage you to go talk to somebody and make sure that they know that you're struggling a little bit and you're not sure about what you should be doing with your faith. And when that friend asks you to go to youth group or go to church with them, go with them and try it out. You never know what you're missing if you don't. It's important to be plugged in because you have someone to talk to about what you're going through. You'll meet new people that you've never thought you'd ever meet, and they could become your best friends. Most of the time, if you go to the right place, like I know Refuge is the right place for me, you'll get this feeling like God's telling you this is where you need to be, and people in there will touch your heart and they'll let you know that you're loved and that Jesus loves you. And if you go to these places and you feel like you belong, then you found the right place for you.
As we wrap up our discussion today, I asked both Lisa and Jeff for any final thoughts concerning the teen center and shelter.
This is a safe place, so if you have any questions about what goes on here, we don't have problems and haven't had problems with the kids here. And what speaks to that is the condition that the house remains in. We kept a lot of the architecture and the character of the building, and the kids respect that. So they don't come in here and rip the place apart. We have a good relationship with the Altoona police, and they actually come in and just hang out and visit with us. So the kids get to know them and not just get to know them in a negative way.
Sure.
So, our job simply here is to bringing a environment of belonging, of affirming the kids.
That's all the time we have today. Thanks for watching Joy in the City True Stories. I want to encourage you to join us every weekday at 9 a.m. Monday through Thursday, we'll enjoy a message from Transformation Church. Then we'll conclude the week with another inspirational story as you saw today. So be sure to tune in every weekday at 9 a.m. for Joy in the City. Be encouraged because God is moving in our city.
God is